My science group. This group is going to be, I'm going to have two science groups. The first group is, spelling group 1 is going to be its own science group. And then spelling group 2 and 3 is going to be science group number 2. So in this group is going to be, let me see, I'm looking at your desk so I can remember who's supposed to be here. I can imagine you here, sitting here in front of me. I see Brielle, Elizabeth, Anna, Levi, Josue, I see Josiah, and I see Alex. Okay, so those are the people that are in this spelling group. You should have this spelling book, and we are going to start on page 8. So go ahead and go to page 8. And you can use either a pencil or a yellow highlighter. Don't use the blue or the green or the purple or orange highlighter. If you have a yellow highlighter, you can use a yellow one. But I prefer maybe that you use a pencil. That way you can erase it. Highlighter you can't erase. Okay? So I want you to put your finger on the first word and I want you to follow me. I believe all of you guys are really good readers. So I'm not going to read too fast, but I'm not going to read too slow either. But I do want you to follow me because there are some words in here that you've probably never seen and I want you to learn the new vocabulary, okay? So this is chapter 1. It's called The World of Animals. And it says, what is the difference between vertebrates and invertebrates? Okay, two new words for you. Vertebrates and invertebrates. Okay, I have the words up here. One starts with vertebrate, and this is the same exact word up there, but it's got an IN in the beginning. So we're going to read and find out what vertebrates and invertebrates are. Animals and plants are the two largest and most familiar group of living things. The most distinguishing difference between plants and animals is that plants can make their own food and animals cannot. Animals and man were originally created to eat plants to obtain energy, and you learn that from Genesis 1:28 through 30. Since the fall of man in the Garden of Eden, many animals still eat plants. But others eat animals to obtain energy. For example, a lion can eat a zebra. But let me see, a giraffe won't eat meat. He'll only eat plants, okay? Because animals must obtain their own food, they are mobile. That means they move around. If they stayed in one place, they'd starve to death. They cannot move about to find plants or other animals to eat. Animals come in all shapes and sizes. Some are so tiny that you can only see them with a microscope. I don't know if you guys remember, there's a microscope in Mr. Plumbing's class and we would bring it in here and we could see little tiny things. We could see them bigger and they're easier to see. So there are some animals that you need a microscope to be able to see them. They're so tiny that you would not be able, for example, we have germs on our hands, but we can't see the germs, but they're there, okay? Let me see, I lost my place. Animals come in all shapes and sizes. Some are so tiny you can only see them with a microscope. Others are as huge as a car or even a house. God originally created animal kinds, like the cat kind, the horse kind, the elephant kind. Since the flood of Noah's day, these animal kinds have spread around the world and have adapted to different environments. So that today there are many different species of animals within each kind. In other words, when the animals boarded Noah's Ark, they went in twos, 2 elephants, 2 horses, 2 giraffes, 2 dogs, let's talk about dogs. But there wasn't 2 chihuahuas or 2 Doberman pinschers and 2 pit bulls. There was only 2 dogs. Over the years, those dogs moved to different parts of the world and adapted to their environment. So places where it was not so cold, maybe there was the dogs began to get smaller and where Chihuahua had less fur. The places where it was colder, the dogs had more fur, they were more active, and you have the wolves, okay? Those are called species. So within one animal kind, for example, they're cats. There's many different kinds of cats. There's Angora cats, there's hairless cats, there's the Russian blue cat. I don't know all my cats. I just know a few. Okay. Those are species. There's species within a kind. Scientists have classified over 1 million different species of animals, and there may be millions more that have not been classified. So if any of you ever decide to be a scientist, you could go into learning about animals and find animals that have never been classified and classify them. You can even classify them with your name, your last name or your first name, and you would have an animal, a species named after you. In order to study so many different types of animals, it is convenient to group them together by their similar characteristics. So it makes it much easier to study so many different kinds of things by putting them into groups. For example, let's put all the animal-eating animals in one group, all the plant-eating animals in one group, all the ocean animals in another group, and then it makes it easier to study them. In order to study so many different types of animals, it is convenient to group them together by their similar characteristics. The first grouping that scientists make is to divide animals by whether they have backbones or not. Do you have a backbone? I hope so. Your backbone is your spine, right down the middle of your back. You can probably feel it. You feel the bumpity bump back there? That's a backbone. That's your spine. When you see a skeleton, it's a long one that goes down between your ribs. Okay, so we take all the animals in the world and we put them into two groups. Animals with backbones and animals with no backbones. Okay, so the first group scientists make is to divide animals by whether they have backbones or not. Animals with backbones are called vertebrates. Animals with backbones are called vertebrates. Animals without backbones are called invertebrates. In means without. They don't have a backbone. So if you look at your science paper, your very first assignment is to define the following words. Number one, what is a vertebrate? So on that line, you're going to write animal with a backbone. And I'll write it on my board up here, so you can write it yourself. So a vertebrate, on the line, it's right underneath it, is an animal with a and there's a period at the end of my sentence, an animal with a backbone. Okay, and invertebrate, you already have that on your sheet. And an invertebrate is an animal without a backbone. So if you need to pause the video right now, you can pause it and go ahead and write your answers on your page. I'm going to help you with the first few lessons to write the answers down. Eventually, I want you to learn to find the answers. I'll read it with you and point out what's important in the lesson. But eventually, I want you to be able to find the answers for yourself and write the answers down for yourself. Okay? What are the two major groups of animals? Remember, in order for the scientists to be able to make it easier to learn, they put them into groups. So they put them into two groups, vertebrates and invertebrates. So your second question is going to be vertebrates and invertebrates. And you can just get the spelling from the first question. Okay. The next question is, what are some similarities among all the animals? What is something that all the animals do that they do the same? Okay, let's keep reading and find out. It says, although only 3% of all animals are vertebrates, they are the animals we are most familiar with. Vertebrates are the animals we see around us every day. Every vertebrae has a backbone. The backbone protects the spinal cord that passes through it. Vertebrates have the same major systems that humans have. They have, including skin, skeleton, muscles, nervous system, respiratory, and digestive systems. They all have the same thing we do. Although all these systems occur in all vertebrates, they vary considerably among the different kinds of animals. So even though they have a digestive system, it might be a little bit different than ours. It's not exactly, it doesn't look exactly like ours. Vertebrates are divided into 5 groups. Okay, oh wait, I think we passed up the question. What's a similarity that all animals have? That answer, if we go back to the second paragraph on page 8, we'll find that answer. Animals come in all shapes and sizes. Some are so tiny you can only see them with a microscope. Others are as huge as a car or even a house. God originally created various animal kinds like the cat kind, the horse kind, and the elephant kind. Since the flood of Noah's Ark, these animal kinds have spread around the world and have adapted to different environments. So today, there are many different species of animals within each kind. Actually, that's the answer wasn't there. We missed it. I'm sorry. Let's go to the end of the first paragraph, where it says, because animals must obtain their own food, they are mobile. They can move about to find plants and other animals. So all animals can do what? All animals can move. So for where it says, what are 2 similarities among all animals? Number 1, they move. I think you know how to spell that, so I'll let you write that down. What are 2 similarities among all animals? The first answer, number 1, is that they move. Okay. The second answer is, since the fall of man in the Garden of Eden, many animals still eat plants, but others eat animals to obtain energy. Because animals must obtain their own food, they are mobile. They can move about to find plants or animals to eat. The second one was they must eat one of 2 things. All animals only eat 2 things. They eat either plants or other animals. So number 2, the answer is they must eat plants or other animals. There's no such thing as eating air. We don't live off air. We don't live off, I don't know, what else we could eat? Dirt. Nobody eats dirt. Animals don't eat dirt. They all eat plants or other animals. Okay? We're going to answer the next 2 questions, and then we're going to end the lesson and continue tomorrow. Okay, what are the 5 major groups of vertebrates? Okay, so let me see. I'll erase that. I'm assuming you paused the video to be able to write all this down, so I'm going to erase it now. Okay. So we have the plant kingdom and we have the animal kingdom. We're studying zoology, so we're studying the animals. We're not studying plants. So under animals, we have 2 groups. You don't have to write this down. This is just so you can see. We have the vertebrae and the invertebrate. Okay? Now, the question is, what are the 5 major groups of vertebrates? Okay, in here, in these 2 groups, we're going to look at just one group. There are going to be 5 groups here, and it's on your paper, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's read on page 9. It says, vertebrates are divided into 5 groups. I'm on the top of page, on the right-hand side of page 9. They are mammals, birds, fish, amphibians, and reptiles. 5 groups, okay? So we're going to write those down. We're going to study those. We're going to go more in depth and talk more about what these each are. So in order to make the video short, I won't go into, but I believe the next, maybe chapter 2 or 3, we're going to talk about mammals. It was mammals, birds, fish, amphibians, and reptiles. And if you can't see clearly on my board, you can take your pencil and circle those in your book. Circle them lightly. Don't bear down too hard. Circle mammals, birds, fish, amphibians, and reptiles on the top of page 9, and then you can go back and fill it out on page 1 of your science paper. Okay? Now, the last question on page 2. We have 3 pages. We're just going to do page 1 and 2. The last question is, what are some examples of invertebrates? Okay, invertebrates, there's many. We can't list them all because there's so many. So we're only going to list 4, the ones the book tells us. So the last paragraph, it says, invertebrates are animals without spinal cords. They don't have a backbone, okay? They are very diverse and account for nearly 97% of all animals. Invertebrates do not have internal skeletons, so they don't have a skeleton like we do. They have their skeleton on the outside. An example would be like a crab, a clam, a snail, okay? Invertebrates include, you can circle these with your pencil, circle sponges, jellyfish, worms, insects. Those are 4 examples. And after you circle those, then you can fill them in on your second page. So sponges, those exist in the ocean. You don't see sponges on land. They would dry out in water. Sponges, jellyfish. Sponges, jellyfish, worms, and insects. But remember, there's many more there's too many to list, okay? If you decide you want to be an animal scientist, a zoologist, then you would learn hundreds of more than what we could teach you here. And that's why we love to teach children to the love of learning. So when you decide what it is you want to study, you can go further ahead in your studies and learn more about animals. Okay, there's one more page, and tomorrow I will put out another video tomorrow so we can finish page 3 of our science paper. We'll finish that tomorrow. Okay? All right, if you want to reread or re-watch the video, you're welcome to do that. If you have any questions, call me. When you finish these 2 pages, remember you have a checkoff sheet. I don't have it in front of me, I don't think. No, I don't have it in front of me, but you have a checkoff sheet. Oh yeah, here it is. And on the bottom of your checkoff sheet, it says science. When you finish page 1 and 2, if you finish page 1, check off the first one. If you finish page 2, go ahead and check off the second one. And the one that says Friday, we're actually going to do that one on Thursday. So don't check that one off. We haven't finished page 3. We'll do that tomorrow. Okay? All right. You guys have a wonderful evening. We'll see you guys through video tomorrow. All right? Bye-bye.